Here's what we need to make the zombie skull hammer. Some pipe, rectangular. This one is about 30 millimeters, but you can also take 1 inch. It doesn't matter so much. A threaded rod. This one is 12 millimeter, but you can also take a 1/2 inch one. The proper nuts and washers, and also in 6 millimeter screw, and also the necessary washers and nuts. You'll also need an iron Boule ball. These are hollow but pretty thick. Some plywood. Cut off an 80 centimeter piece from the pipe. Now drill a 12 millimeter hole through this one about 8 centimeters from the end of the rod. This is how it should look like now. Now cut off a 20 centimeter piece from the threaded rod. Now use the angle grinder to form a tip. This is how it should look like now. The 4 edges will actually help penetrating the zombie skull later on. Now install the spike onto the steel tube. Make sure there's enough of it poking out for the Boule attachment and really tighten those nuts. Now drill a 10 millimeter hole into the Boule ball. Now use a well-oiled thread bit and make a thread for the spike into it. So this is how it should look like. This is how it should now look like. It is already a fearsome weapon. Because it's so front heavy, or top heavy, it makes the swing so deadly. Next, saw out the 2 parts for the skull ejector. Now saw out the handle and the tip parts for the skull ejector so that the total thickness is the same as the steel rod. Now drill the hole for the axis and drill the corresponding hole through the steel rod. Now mount the parts together so that it's already a functional ejector. You can make the upper one a little bit tighter so that it is pinching the bar a bit. This way it will kind of be fixed in this position later on. Now put the bolt through and counter it so that it still has play but isn't going to come loose, and then saw off the rest. Next, saw out the hilt, and it is best to stabilize it with the screw in each corner so the layers of the plywood won't come apart. Drill holes through the side and then take a small drill and drill a hole through the steel. Then fix it with a screw. Next, saw out the slingshot and see that it's tight fitting into the steel tube. Now drill 2 holes through the steel bar and put the slingshot in and fix it with the screws. Note that I've added a little bit of wood to the handle so it fits 100% tightly into the steel tube. You can now wrap the handle. I like a very thick rope. This is an 8 millimeter type. If you like it smaller, that's not a problem. Just take some thinner paracord. Here are some changes that I've made after the small fail at the end of the video. See, I put some steel at both sides of the skull ejectors. And this block underneath the skull ejector prevents any damage from a direct hit. This is the hammer, how it should look like when it's all finished.